I'm Gary Potts. I like Progress Texas because they are on top of everything. As fast as it happens, they're reporting it, and they're helping to shape our thoughts. We've got people like Chris Mosier who are just as fast as you can wind your watch. He's kind of summing it up and making us understand what's promising and what's absurd.
Thank you, Gary. It's Monday, December 29th, 2025, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. Here's hoping your holiday has been safe and merry so far. I'm just back from a family Christmas trip to New Orleans, which of course never fails to amaze in so many ways, and I'm not sure if she listens, but I'd like to briefly re-invite New Orleans Mayor-elect Helena Moreno to join us for a quick talk. Mayor-elect Moreno was born in Mexico but largely raised in Texas. She lived in Houston with her family from early childhood through high school and earned her bachelor's degree at SMU. Mayor-elect Moreno is not even officially mayor yet, of course. She'll be inaugurated in mid-January, but she already faces a litany of challenges, some very old and entrenched, regarding governmental transparency at the local level and patronage-based gatekeeping, widespread poverty and its collision with tourism, infrastructure challenges, of course, in this very old historic city, and recent challenges, too, including an ICE and Border Patrol push into New Orleans just this month, an issue that certainly resonates with the new mayor, considering her own Mexican heritage. She's going to be busy, but we hope to grab a few minutes with New Orleans Mayor-elect Helena Moreno at some point in the first part of the year. A few things to catch up with in the middle of the holiday gap here. And speaking of Donald Trump's recent federal incursions into blue cities, the editorial board of the San Antonio Express-News replays the thought experiment that we've presented here in regard to Texas National Guard soldiers being deployed into places like Chicago, writing, quote, "Imagine that we are not living with the Trump administration, but rather that a Democratic administration is in power, and imagine this Democratic president deployed National Guard soldiers from California to Dallas. And imagine it did this even though neither Governor Greg Abbott nor local officials had requested Guard assistance from California. In fact, they even said they don't need a Guard presence. Nevertheless, the Guard arrives from California. To do what exactly is unclear, despite political rhetoric, and their mere presence inflames community tensions. Under such a scenario, would Texas officials just lie down and take it? No way. They would put up a political and legal fight, and let's be real, maybe a physical one, this being Texas. And this reality is exactly why the unwanted deployment of Texas National Guard soldiers to the Chicago area was so absurd. It was a massive government overreach that trampled on state and local officials, unquote. All of this, a reaction to last week's U.S. Supreme Court ruling, which came just after our last Daily Dispatch back on Tuesday the 23rd. Surprise, surprise, 6-3, with conservative justices Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett, and Chief Justice John Roberts joining the liberal minority in rejecting Donald Trump's attempt to send the Texas National Guard into Chicago, ruling that the pretext Trump wanted to use to justify this move, which was protests at an immigration facility outside the city, did not in fact warrant the major escalation of deploying the military for domestic law enforcement. SCOTUS scores a rare moment of clarity here in siding with Illinois state officials who had sued against the move as an unprecedented intrusion on state rights. Conservative justices Sam Alito, Clarence Thomas, and Neil Gorsuch dissented, arguing the court should have deferred to Trump's judgment regarding security threats. A bit of a Christmas miracle, you might say. And the Express News Board notes that Governor Abbott, while taking a political loss here, did manage to raise a bunch of money over the Chicago Guard deployment thing, but he did it at enormous taxpayer expense. Those Texas National Guard troops have been sitting largely idle, guarding that ICE facility outside Chicago, away from their jobs and families here in Texas, for weeks now on your dime. More great stuff to consider as we head into the all-important midterm election year. This time, Bud Kennedy at the Fort Worth Star-Telegram opines on the impact that the Jasmine Crockett-James Tallarico Senate race has already had on the Texas Democratic Party, namely a notably spiritual tone for both of these heavyweights of a party that does not commonly employ religion as a central theme. Tallarico is, of course, known as a Presbyterian seminary scholar for, we'd say, dragging the messages of Jesus Christ back where they belong, which is on the side of the marginalized, the downtrodden, the immigrant, and those without the power of money at their backs, while Congresswoman Crockett has also been leading on her background as a preacher's daughter and a product of the powerful messages that emanate from Texas's black churches. Kennedy writes that this time, though, quote, the road to the Democratic Senate nomination runs through a lot of town squares, unquote, this time it's also running down the center aisle of Texas's houses of worship. Great read linked in the show notes. Another great point made by the Houston Chronicle's editorial board that compares the present stance of Texas Republicans on immigration issues with the much more level-headed approach of the likes of Bush 41. Historically, Texas Republicans from the George H.W. Bush era championed a pragmatic approach to immigration that balanced border security with economic growth and humanitarian concerns. Let's recall that in the late 20th century, Texas famously became the first state to grant in-state tuition to DACA recipients and also supported the expansion of legal pathways to citizenship for workers, all under the correct philosophy, holding that educating immigrant children and integrating hardworking families were essential for a healthy society and a competitive economy in Texas. All that common sense, of course, has been replaced since with a hardline national platform focused on maximum enforcement and mass deportations. Recent surges at the border, of course, are definitely part of the problem here, and they've contributed to hardened local attitudes about immigration in Texas. But Republicans who remember the cooler-headed days of yore might argue that the current hardline mode does as much to harm law-abiding residents and Texas businesses, both big and small, as it does to rein in border traffic. Republicans have allowed their views on immigration to devolve from the recognition of an obvious opportunity for growth to one of knee-jerk, short-sighted, irrational xenophobia. Our mission at Progress Texas is to counter the billionaire and corporate-funded conservative disinformation machine, and we rely largely on listener support to keep doing what we do. While we enjoy the support of hundreds of partners, chances are that you, dear listener, haven't joined the team yet. If you're a regular, let's get you on board right now. Huge thanks to Brooke Simons, Rachel Albers, and Lee McAfee, all of whom are monthly donors, all of whom we appreciate very, very much. Join them and the team at ProgressTexas.org, and while you're at the website, grab the merch to match your progressive values at our web store, including our newly expanded Humans Against Greg Abbott collection of t-shirts, stickers, and yard signs. Greg's got to go in 2026, so let's go, y'all. All that and more at ProgressTexas.org. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Monday, December 29th, 2025. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Progress Texas is a nonprofit rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks for listening. Have a great day, and we'll catch you again tomorrow morning.